spontaneous live. I wasn't planning to go live today, but I just got this new Schmincke dot card and I want to play around with it because I don't normally get dot cards. I don't actually know the last time I got a dot card. They're not really something I'm into, but there are lots of colors on this one specifically that I was already thinking of adding to my palette. Let's go for the brush rest. And when Mom was in an art store and she saw that they had the new dot cards, she wanted to know if there were any colors in it that I actually like, were there enough to justify getting the dot card. And for this one there are. So I've got the dot card and we're gonna open it up. I will say I love how Schmincke packages their dot cards. They are lovely and just like feel far nicer than the Daniel Smith ones. The Daniel Smith ones are so expensive and just don't feel anywhere near as nice. I do also have a Daniel Smith dot card hanging around the studio, so let me know if you want to see that swatched out as well, because I totally have time to do that. So this is one of the new dot cards. I think they came out with 4 at the end of 2023. I think there were 4 new dot cards, maybe there were 5. And this is the exclusive colors one. Do I think it's actually exclusive colors? No. The naming feels a little bit gimmicky, but I do appreciate all the colors that are in it and that it's a pretty good breakdown of sort of all the color families. But like cadmium yellow is an exclusive. Titanium yellow is an exclusive. Cadmium red deep, not exclusive. So like the naming feels gimmicky, but there are lots of individual pigments in this that I already wanted to try. So we're just gonna swatch it out straight onto this card. I do really like the paper Schmincke uses for their dot cards. And I know this because I have one of the Schmincke dot cards from an event at Gortzman's in Toronto past like 18 months ago. Schmincke did an event there and they gave away super granulating dot cards before they were available anywhere else. It was awesome. So we're gonna get into this. The first one is Titanium Yellow, which is PY53. Do I have PY53 already in my palette? Let's grab the single pigment swatch book. I want to say I do from Daniel Smith. I do from Daniel Smith. Next is a yellow that I can't pronounce. It starts with an M. It starts with a V. Oh, it's really pretty. It's like what I want yellows to be. It has been on my list. It's been saved in my Jackson's cart, but I didn't press purchase. I tend to use my Jackson's basket like a way to just save stuff. It is PY148. Nope, 184. Can you tell I have a brain injury? 184, which I don't have. I go from PY159 to PY216 with nothing in between. This is Cadmium Yellow Light. Again, it doesn't feel exclusive. I would have expected with the naming exclusive when they first released these, like for it to be colors that didn't feel so standard. I guess that's the best way to put it. But there are some fun things thrown in. This is another PY53 down here. And I've also had this one in my basket on Jackson's because it's a much darker version than Titanium Yellow. And I really like the way it feels. Cadmium Yellow Middle, alright, is what we're on next. PY35. Oh, their cadmium yellow deep is a mix. Huh. All right. I'm reading ahead. I'm not looking at the granulation at this point. I'm just looking at the pigment numbers. So this is PY35 and PO20. I do have a soft spot for PO20. I absolutely love it in my palette as a sort of base orange color. Though I don't love cadmium orange hue. So this is cadmium orange light. It is PO20. I don't have their version. I have the Cosmic Creations version. And I would say they're pretty similar. Where's the Cosmic Creations version? PO20. I think Lore's is actually probably more similar to the cadmium orange deep. Move my water cup so it's not casting a weird shadow. Yeah, Lore's is pretty similar to the cadmium orange deep. And I do, as like a base orange, I do enjoy PO20. So happy to know that I like their versions as well. We have cadmium red orange, which is another PO20. It's always interesting to see all the different versions you get when you, like, pigments are processed differently. Because this will look very different from papaya, and I'll bring the papaya swatch down here so that you can see it has significantly more texture to it. And that's not just because of the paper, it's just got more going on. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Like, and it's very orange red. Or red orange. Yeah, it's called red orange. Cadmium red light. Not a fan of cadmium reds. You've followed the Schmincke super granulating series, like you'll know my feelings on cadmium reds. I don't hate their cadmium red light, which is always good. Let's look at their cadmium red middle. These are all PR 108s. Cadmium red's always going to be PR 108. I suspect I will like their cadmium red deep the best, just because that's the version from Roman Smalls that I like the best. I will say that it's very different from Volcano Red, which is another PR 108. However they've processed the pigment for Volcano Red is very different from how they process it for their normal line. Or whoever they're sourcing it from has processed the pigment very differently. But based on like how long they've been making it for and the quantity they produce of it, I have to think that they're doing it in-house. Just based on what I know about dealing with pigment manufacturers. Here's Volcano Red. Actually. PR 108. Yeah. It sort of falls in between, but the granulation is incredibly different. Next up we have Perylene Dark Red. Oh! PR 178. I have Perylene Maroon and Perylene Violet, but I don't know that I have Perylene PR. No, I have PR 177 and I have PR 179. Huh. So what do you look like? So far, I'd say you look like a hot pink. I don't know that I'd classify you as a red. You are very hot pink. That is the weird naming thing with colors, is that sometimes you swatch a color and you go, I don't think that you actually are what you're named, but okay. That's how I feel about Perylene Dark Red. Ruby is PV19. Oh, I do love a good PV19. And there are so many different versions of it. My favorite version of Quinacridone Magenta is coming up next. So my favorite version of Quin Magenta is PR122, which is the version Laura has in her shop, and I much prefer it to the Daniel Smith Quinacridone Magenta, which is PR202. It's just a much nicer color, and I would say that's... How similar are you to Laura's? You seem like you're pretty similar. But maybe that's just because I've spent a lot of time looking at hers lately. It might be a little bit brighter. Yeah, it might be a little bit brighter, but it's also on very white paper compared to what I'm using. Like, this is very clearly white paper. I sort of want to know where Schmincke gets their paper, because it is so white compared to any of the watercolor papers I have. This is Cobalt Violet Hue. I have this in my palette from Schmincke up until like November, I think, was when Roman Small released their color. So up until November, they were the only matte producer of this pigment. You couldn't buy it as a small shop looking to produce paint with this pigment. You could not buy PV62 from anywhere. So Schmincke was the only place to get it. They used it in super granulating mixes, and I don't love it, but that's mostly because it felt too similar to PV15s in my palette. I think if I hadn't have needed it for a very specific project, I probably wouldn't have added it to my palette, but I needed it for the Schmincke Super Granulating series, and so I added it to my palette. And there are definitely colors like that that were added over the course of the series that I find that I like now more that the series is over than I did when I was spending money on them for the series and realizing that actually I didn't know when I was going to be using these colors again. Next is PB60 Delft Blue, which I guess is their version of an Indent Throne, because normally Indent Throne is PB60. It feels very Indent Throne. Well, that makes sense. It's the Indent Throne pigments. It reminds me of the... Whose do we look like? Roman Small. Totally the Roman Small one. Cobalt Blue Light is PB28. I don't know that I like it as much as the Daniel Smith Cobalt Blue, that's also a PB28. I'm finding it hard to replace the Daniel Smith Cobalt Blue and Cobalt Teal Blue. That's what it's called. Those are both colors that I am struggling to replace in my palette, mostly because Daniel Smith tubes are so expensive. And I'm finding it hard to find the ones I want in stores. Cobalt Cerulean. I don't know that I have a Cobalt Cerulean. I've got lots of Ceruleans. It's a PB36. They're just the same pigment number that Cerulean Blue normally is. And Cobalt Blue? Yes, you are. Doesn't feel cobalty. Feels much more cerulean-y. Cobalt Azure is PB35. Cobalt Turquoise is PG50. Will we replace Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal in this video? Oh, Cobalt Teal Blue in this video. Will I finally find something that I like more? Oh, it's gonna have a hard time because I am obsessed with that color. It is my favorite color. It got used so much in the Schmincke Super Granulating series, which, if this is similar, will not surprise me. I just didn't have a PG 50 from Schmincke when I filmed the series, and so I had no way of actually knowing 100% what their version looked like, because online swatches are only so accurate. Oh, we're more blue than I want. Are we more blue because we're white paper? Do I have you out to swatch? No, I don't. We're gonna have to compare at some point, because it could just be because of how white this paper is. Because I don't dislike it. It just feels a bit too bright blue. Cobalt Green Turquoise is PG 36, which I already know I love. I have many in my palette that are PG 36. I'm a fan of Cobalt colors. I just love how they look. I love their texture. And I'm very careful that I don't lick my paintbrush when I use them. This is such a pretty color, and I will be getting a pan/tube of it at some point. In all honesty, it'll probably be my first purchase with Jackson's affiliate credit at some point. Will be a pan of that, because I absolutely love it. This is Cobalt Green Dark, which is PG 26. And I have, whose version do I have? Is it Cosmic's? Yeah, it's Cosmic's. This is Pine by Cosmic. And I would say they look almost identical. There is not a big difference between that and that. There's like a little bit of a color difference, but not huge. Not enough to justify having both. Whereas that is stunning and makes me want to pan right now. The only other color I felt that way about is this yellow and this yellow. So we've had 3. And I do like this. I don't like that it's called a dark red. It doesn't feel dark red to me, but I do like it. This is Cobalt Green Pure. So this is the color that was supposed to be used in a bunch of the super granulating mixes. I searched high and low for a pan of this or a tube of this and could not find one, and so was stuck with this Daniel Smith one, which did not work. If you've seen the Schmincke Super Granulating video, this pan, or this tube, had been sitting on the shelf for so long that the pigment had totally separated, and the pigment, like, it totally needed to be like reground in, and that's not a skill I have. And it makes sense now why Daniel Smith has discontinued the color, because it was awful to work with. This was the color I needed. Could I find anywhere in the city of Toronto that stocked this color? Or could I like order a tube of it from anywhere? No. But it's on this dot card, which means Schmincke must still make it. Because why would they put something on a dot card that they don't make anymore? Alright. We're putting dots. So it confirmed the 2 yellows that I really liked. They have to still make this green. Why would you put a color on a brand new dot card if you don't still make it? Oh, I went to so many art stores trying to track down that green and talk to so many people who couldn't remember the last time they'd seen it, couldn't order it in, and it's on this dot card. Do I have any of the Schmincke sheets around me that I could just like pull and figure out? Alright. What Schmincke palettes used this green? Can I, on the spot, do one of these colors? Schmincke dupes. Has not been open since December. And I need one that uses, pigment chart is PG19. So our options are Tundra Green, Forest Brown. Alright. Forest Brown, Cypress Raw Umber. Oh no, Forest Green. Alright, let's pull this brown. We need Mahogany Brown. We need Mahogany Brown. And what's the other option? And Tundra. Is it Tundra like palette number 2? Nope, Tundra. PBR6. Mars Brown. Mahogany Brown and Mars Brown are what we need. Can I do this? The trick is, do I actually know where they are in my palette? Because yes, I put the palette together like 10 days ago. Is it already a disaster again? Yes. Mahogany. This should be. All right. Mahogany Brown, Mars Brown. Do I not have paper? I do have paper. So, I don't actually have colors to match from, do I? Or what colors do I need? I need Tundra Green, and I need Forest Green. Oh, alright. Let's hope that they're equally easy to find. Schmincke Green Earth. Desert Yellow. Forest Green. Forest Brown. Mom, if you're one of the people watching, thanks for letting me steal your palette. Tundra Green. All right. can't believe after all these months I actually have this color. Actually, no, we're just going to use a piece of Bao Hong because it's easier to replace, in all honesty. So, Tundra Green needs to sit for way longer. Alright. Tundra Green. Then we have Forest Green. The only difference between these two colors is the brown they use. They both use the same Cobalt, and I think both have Cobalt as the second pigment. And I am just making a mess. This is why I can't go off book and just do random stuff. But the excitement of finally having this green pigment that I couldn't track down in this series. So I went with the Daniel Smith version that then didn't really work. Like, I just want to see, because these were the two. I think for both of these colors I said, if you could track down the actual pigment, like if you could track down a different version, you could probably do it. So I need, for Forest, do I not have a clean palette? Of course I don't have a clean palette. That would be practical. Alright. I'm going to steal stuff off this palette. We're going to move stuff off this palette so we can steal this palette. That's the words I was looking for. Alright. My hand is now covered in paint. We need this green. And mahogany brown. And there you go. There's Forest Green. I believe Tundra Green's the same, where the green comes first and then the brown. Yep. And then Mars brown. It's actually too bright. Switch brushes. There we go. All we needed was the right green. So, was that worth waiting for many, many months? Probably not. This is Tundra. Well, that was a little fun side quest that I did not expect in this video. Really, I just wanted to look at the yellows because I'd already been thinking about getting them for my palette, some of them. And instead, I finally got to properly do 2 of the Schmincke super granulating colors that I've wanted to do for so many months, because as soon as I did the Tundra video, I knew that that Cobalt was wrong. Like, it was one of those, like, instantly I knew it was the wrong color sort of things. And so finally being able to use that green was so amazing. It does sort of open the mystery up more because it was so impossibly hard to track down, but they are including it in this dot card. So does that mean that it's going to be easier to find now? I don't know. Time will tell. Hopefully I'll be able to track down either a tube or a pan of it. I think I'd probably prefer a pan, just because sometimes I find cobalts from the tube that you decant into pans get hard to activate. But overall, this was a whole lot of fun. With a really, like, just swatching out the colors was fun, and then it had like this really fun little side tangent of realizing that I had the right green. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I do have a Daniel Smith dot card, so if you want to see that, let me know. I think I've actually got most of the colors from the dot card in my palette over the past couple years, but there are some that I've been looking at that are in it, so I will consider swatching it in a video. I do enjoy doing lives like this. They are fun, and they sort of break up the day of filming other projects, which is great. So thanks for watching.